people out of stores, and then you can make your money off that. No way. Give you the ground so you can build a store. So that was one of the things. So that, I don't know what, that's the last one I heard.
Starting to feel like a dwarf.
What's that?
I started feeling like a
Heard some
dwarf.
negotiating.
Yes.
Yeah, sitting on the floor.
Entertaining.
I'm sure I'm always
Say the
looking that thing
least.
up. So.
How you doing, Sandy?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, you gotta get up and let it up.
Yeah. Here I am.
How we doing?
Good.
Good.
Lights.
Have a good weekend?
The lights.
Yes, Barbecue Fest weekend is a busy one for sure. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Had not the best weather, but it wasn't the worst weather we've ever had either.
Looked like you had a few people.
But now the left
Yep.
Alan told me it was better if the weather was bad. It drives them inside to the restaurant.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had pretty strong sales considering the weather at Barbecue Fest. And then, yeah, had good sales inside for the same reason. It's like,
Yeah.
well, we'll go someplace in town, which is what you want to happen anyway. You're trying to attract people for.
Win-win.
Yep.
Sometimes, yes, if it's beautiful weather, you're just dead as a doornail in those shops.
People stay home doing the yard work. Well,
Yeah.
it's too wet to mow. This is
fit
good.
right into this role.
Try out some brews.
No, it's a great event. It takes a lot of hands, I know. So.
Yeah, I think it's a good move not having a barbecue competition.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know if that's better or worse. It seems like that drags a lot of people in town.
But they get nothing
Well,
from
hang in there.
Right.
You're
it.
welcome.
The guys bring their own
Hi, Elsie.
stuff,
How are
bring
you?
their own food,
Right.
bring their own drink.
Good, thanks.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Bill's not here today.
They sell a little bit on Saturday and then they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be they sold tickets for tastings,
Yeah.
but that became not a lot either. I mean, it was like
Alrighty.
everybody got the
So they
same.
Bill Stratton's not here today, we need to start the meeting.
This is the Washington Area Highway Transportation Committee meeting, Monday, April 29th, 8 o'clock. Craig Miller,
Here.
Ed Fisher, Stephen O'Connor, Ray Frankenberg,
Here.
Bob Ingeman,
Here.
Bill Stratman, Mayor Hagedorn, Joe Hoopmeyer,
Here.
Sandy Lucy, Elby Camp,
Here.
Bill Miller, Tim Brinker, Mike Coulter, Jeff Niemeyer, Charles Stankovic, Darren Liam. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the meeting's minutes.
First,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Amtrak?
We did have a MORPAC meeting between this meeting and the last. Not a whole lot of new information, but they are steadily moving down their Federal Rail Authority corridor study. They were, as we talked about before, selected to study the addition of a third Missouri River Runner line and some extensions from Quincy into Hannibal, as well as up to St. Joseph on that line. They've selected a consultant to do that study. They're thinking that's an 8 to 9 month process. They turn that in, and then they have a second step 2 for that Federal Rail Authority in April of 25. So they'll be studying infrastructure and equipment, additional stops on that line, obviously ridership and revenue and job creation. So really looking forward to getting that study going and seeing some of the results of that to present to the feds to continue to fund that project in step 2. There were some things added to the packet that show real strong ridership that most recent quarter. So that continues to be a good thing, as well as really good on-time performance, minus some train cancellations in January and things like that. Both Union Pacific, who's been consistently present at the meetings recently, which wasn't always the same in the past, but their cooperation has been really great and leading to more on-time trains, which obviously helps with ridership. But those strong ridership numbers have been great through those January, March, our January, February, March numbers, and they expect those to increase, obviously, as the weather gets better and people continue to use that. So really good numbers there. They've applied for their legislative budget for Amtrak. They're asking a little bit more money for increasing costs, I think $1.5 million over their last budget that was approved, and looking for some additional, I think $10,000 in station enhancements, which they divide up among all the stations, among that River Runner, so it could give a little bit more money to update our station as well as all the stations along the route. The last thing they were talking about was they have a marketing campaign. They're bringing on a new mascot, so there's going to be a river otter that is the mascot for the train. I think he's dressed like an engineer with a stopwatch. And though they're going to do a campaign to name that mascot, which is fun, and I think his first appearance is going to be at the State Fair, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then he'll start making stops along the way. So, just trying to do fun things to increase ridership there as well. And that was most of what they talked about at that meeting.
And you said that was the River Runner Otter?
Yeah, it's an otter. So if you go online, I don't know that it's up just yet, but they're going to run it through May, I think, to have a naming competition for that mascot. So it should be fun.
Oscar.
And then one more question. They were kind of close together, but when you said they were requesting an increased budget, was that Union Pacific or is that?
It's for the River Runner. They're in the process of starting the budget for the next go-around. So they're just asking for $1.5 million in additional funds there, mainly for their cost of doing business, things like that.
And that's Amtrak's budget, not
that's
Union Pacific's because
Correct.
of the cost, okay.
Yeah, it's Amtrak's budget. And like I said, they're just asking for a little bit more. They said so far it's been left in that budget, hasn't been line itemed out yet, but they're early in the process, I think, for that too. So they're hopeful they can get those additional funds to continue the level of service they're providing right now.
Greg, is that budget for this year, October 31st this year, or for next year's?
I
25.
think it is for 25s.
Okay.
That's their fiscal year budget is June to June, right? And then, so I think they might vote on that this October. I think that's correct. So they're just at the preliminary stages of that. Thank you.
Is that all, Craig?
That's all I have, yes.
Causeway?
I don't have any really new information. However, with our former mayor here and a recent visit that we had, it begs to go ahead and mention the fact that we had two of MoDOT's highway commissioners that were here a few weeks ago. And I know that at that, I think they were just visiting in town. I'll turn it over to Sandy here in a second, but I mean, they were visiting in town, and a couple of things that came out of their visit, and then again, it was not an official visit, but it was more like their own, just getting out and seeing our community. But the two things that they noticed was, one was, I think there was some discussion. Bill, who unfortunately couldn't be here this morning, but he wanted to make sure that you all were aware of the fact Bill took him for a drive over across the river and showed him Highway 47 and the concerns that he's expressed here about the idea that, you know, we built a bridge, but however, anything that's over on the north side of the river is still susceptible to flooding and could impede traffic coming to and from Warren County and to Franklin County. And so they seem to be concerned about that, at least from the comments that I heard. And again, I'll let Sandy talk in a minute, but I think that it's going to be a good opportunity. So the second thing with it is October the 2nd is when the Highway Commission is going to go ahead and meet here in the City of Washington's council chambers, right where we're sitting. As some of you know, they've been here in the past. I think they've had 2 other meetings in the past. Prior at that time, it was a lot of discussion about the bridge at that time. And I think it's probably going to be a golden opportunity for us to go ahead and address that concern across the river. I know that Bill seems to always like to talk about a causeway. As I've said before, we would like to exhaust the opportunity for a levee to go ahead and do it because we think a couple of things. One, it protects the other interests that we have over there, primarily our airport. And if we continue to go ahead and make improvements to the airport and expand upon it, you're going to need to go ahead and protect that as an asset for the city. And a causeway, unfortunately, will not go ahead and protect that. So, and then the second thing with that is that if we are successful at possibly getting some type of levee built over there, it would also be a much cheaper form as compared to so far the preliminary numbers that we've seen. It would be a lot more cost efficient to go ahead and build it rather than a causeway. So obviously we want to keep that discussion. We're pleased with the fact that they seem concerned about the fact that the bridge was built, and I'll let Sandy go ahead and, because her and I have had a discussion about it since they visited, and the comments that they made that she heard.
Yeah, so the two commissioners who were here were Greg Smith from Clinton, maybe? Yeah, from Clinton, and then Tom Waters. And Tom had emailed me, a couple months earlier wanting information on where they could stay. They were bringing their wives to Washington. And it turned out they came in on the Amtrak. So they arrived, they caught it in Warrensburg and then came over. So Amtrak was on time. Anyway, so they were good. And so they came up to visit at the gallery a little bit and just were so well, Bill had met them at the train. He had given them a tour of Washington. They were so complimentary, again, of our community and how great it was and how everything looked. And Greg said, it's been a while since we've been here. Maybe we need to come back here for our transportation meeting, our commission meeting. And I was like, well, maybe we could, And he was looking at his calendar, and October was available. And so it all worked out. He called Pam, I called Pam, and they're coming on the 2nd. So they toured around, and the interesting part was that on Sunday, I was cleaning, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But there was a train sitting for a long time on the track, like something was going on at the train. And finally, it dawned on me that they were probably down there waiting for their train, and it was probably delayed or whatever. And I thought, I better run down and make sure they had a good trip and all this kind of stuff. And they had walked across the bridge, and they couldn't believe how steep the hill was coming back. And they were like, why did we build it that way? I just can't believe we did that. That is just, we've got to address this. And they went on and on and on about how we spent all that money on a bridge and didn't think about where it was ending up at. So I don't know. I mean, I was like, well, you guys need to look into it or whatever. But they were really, really, it was a big conversation. I was like, well, okay. But anyway, they had a great time. Everywhere they went was wonderful. Washington, once again, showed well, and they're looking forward to being here. So, and the other thing that I think is really good about them coming is that since the last time they were here right shortly after we opened our bridge, because they all remember their bolt. Mm-hmm. These guys did. But the only commission member who is on there now that was here in 18 is Greg Smith. So all the other commission members are brand new. So we need to have them, because they're always impressed with our community when they come here. So it would be a whole new team of commission members that we could show around and things like that. So it's on the calendar. So.
Wonderful.
Good job.
Highway 47 Corridor Committee.
Oh, who would that be?
Good morning. Don't have any report really for the corridor committee. We have not met recently, but an update on the corridor. MoDOT is continuing their evaluation and their traffic study that they're conducting on 47 from Washington down to St. Clair. That is continuing and is in progress. That's
What's the target date for that to be complete?
I believe that's to be complete by the end of this year,
Okay.
the study. And then they will come back with recommendations, and maybe they'll have something to report to the Transportation Committee when they meet here in October. Perhaps they'll bring some good news to the entire community at
Yes.
that time. So, thank you.
Franklin County Transportation Committee.
Short
should
walk.
have not turned around. The Transportation Committee, we did meet last week, or I'm sorry, 10 days ago, and it was approved that we send out the grant applications. Those have been emailed out to all of the potential recipients and the members. We are following up this week by phone to each one of them, make sure they did receive that, and see if they need any help. We have several new members of the committee, and there's always a couple of questions with the grant applications. So that's an ongoing process. Those are due back to us by the end of June. At that time, we'll review those and make a determination what we award. Thank you. Any questions?
How's the negotiations coming with the land for the extension of highway?
That's an ongoing real estate negotiation. Not really at liberty to discuss that, not in that loop, but that is ongoing. It is active on both sides, the county side and the City of Union side. Hopefully that gets done as soon as possible.
Thanks.
We'd like to get that built. Thank you.
50/50 MoDOT grants.
Part of what we've applied for and what the city's received, and this board is well aware of it, is the highway entrance or the widening out on 100, the entrance going into Oldenburg Industrial Park. We are hoping there's one last environmental issue, but we're supposed to be clearance for that within 2 weeks. So hopefully by this time next month, when this board meets, we can report to you that the project is out for bid. So that's all we got.
Warren County.
Really not,
Okay. Mission Special Road District. Old Highway 100 Bridge.
I do have one comment on the old Highway 100 bridge. I had a crew, we still maintain Old Highway 100. I had a crew doing pothole patching and what have you. There were a few holes on the bridge itself. It didn't amount to 2 or 3 wheelbarrows full of material. They called me, asked if they could go over and spend 15 minutes filling those holes, and I told them to go ahead and do
Oh,
it.
thank you.
So we got that taken care of.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Airport.
Really don't have any report, I don't think, this month or whatever. There's nothing significant that's going on, so. But hangars are complete. I think there's one last small detail with regards to a little bit of seating that still has to go ahead and be taken care of by the contractor. But other than that, we're talking about doing some type of open house, I think, or something that we wanted to go ahead and do a ribbon cutting for it. So we'll let this group know as soon as we set a date for something like that. That's it.
Team Truck. East West Parkway.
I don't, other than the improvements that have already been made that are out there off of Beaker Road, we are looking, I will say, use this opportunity to go ahead and talk about on May 13th, the Planning and Zoning Commission will be reviewing the final draft of the comprehensive plan for the city of Washington. That document has been revised and vetted, and we've even gotten some last-minute comments on some future land use that we're addressing. But it also shows the East-West Parkway and other phases going further west in the future. And again, it's more of a consideration to have some type of corridor in that general area. It's not necessarily locked in stone. This is the location of it. I can tell you that, you know, from when it first came up, for the portion that we're working on now, that was back in the mid-'80s. And here we are in 2024, and we've probably only got less than a mile of that built off of Beaker Road. So I know people get concerned about those types of issues when they see lines on a map, but it's all due to future growth and how fast that happens. So anyway, that document will be, and we can go ahead and provide you with a new future land use, or a future land use map as well as transportation map from that document. We could go ahead and report that to you in May. So, but thank you for all of you that participated in the workshops and everything, getting it to that point.
Public transportation.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to take a moment and introduce someone I'm going to have come up here, Taylor Miller with Easy Mow and with the Jefferson Franklin Community Resource Board, Jefferson Franklin Consortium. Come on up, Taylor. Taylor has briefed the county commission on the services that the organization provides this region, both in Franklin and Jefferson County, and I thought it'd be a great idea to expose the services available via Taylor to this group. So Taylor, take it away.
Thank you so much. Put me on the spot here, guys. Hello. This is my first meeting. So as he said, I am with Easy Mow Transportation. This is a program brought to you by Jefferson Franklin Community Action Corporation, and it is a free transportation program to the residents of Jefferson and Franklin County. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Franklin County here today. We are a volunteer transportation network, which means that we have volunteer drivers who come in. They are reimbursed based on the gas that they spend at the IRS rate, which currently is 67 cents a mile. Had to think about that for a second. It's a little early, sorry. We have transportation that is provided. These volunteers get their route for the day that is scheduled by a staff member of Easy Mow Transportation, and we send the schedule to the volunteer driver. The volunteer driver takes their own vehicle and picks up the client or the resident of Franklin County at their home or whatever meeting location that they've assigned, and then they take them to their destination. That volunteer driver waits for them at that destination and then takes them home, so that they are at no point abandoned at their location, because that has been something that people who take like any other form of transportation don't get. They don't have a designated person that's coming to pick them up and take them back home. So that is something that we found was really important. We have been going since May 15th of 2023. So we are not even a full 12 months old yet, and we have already driven over 81,000 miles. We are on track by the time May 15th of this year hits to have delivered over 100,000 miles in free transportation to the county. So yeah, I did bring flyers and different handouts that I would be happy to give to all of you at the end of the meeting, because we would want you guys to call if you have any other questions. But as of this moment, we are currently seeking funding, because right now all of the trips are based on income. So people who qualify for this do have to meet a certain income level to receive that free transportation. And we are currently applying for different grants, different foundation money, scrounging up donations to be able to give free transportation to anybody that's in the county. We don't want to stick to just that income limit at this time. So if you have any leads on that, please let me know. I'm also always looking for volunteer drivers. But yeah, I mean, just that's the extent of that. Can I answer any specific questions for you guys?
I had a question.
Yes. On all of the flyers that I'll give to all of you before I leave today, our phone number and our Easy Mow website is on there, but it's www.jf, Jefferson Franklin, CAC, Community Action Corporation, .org/EasyMow, EZMO.
Awesome. Where does your funding come from now? Is it all private? Is it?
We have a couple of different funding sources. The first one is we leverage Community Service Block Grant. That is a federal funded program through Community Action. So that is like our foundation of where we come from. Then we also have a couple of local foundations that we've awarded. Some of them are specific to Jefferson County, but some of them have applied to both. So just local foundation dollars. We are currently, like I said, applying for multiple grants. So we have pending things that are out there out there at this moment. And then we've also done like just donations when we go to speak to groups and different things like that. And like different local clubs like the Lions Club, AMBETS, people like those types of organizations have given us donations. So then we can provide maybe some specific type of rides to the public who, again, don't meet those income criterias available to us through the Community Service Block Grant.
Can you speak to what those income requirements are, or do you know right off the top of your head?
So the last that I had heard, it did go up at the beginning of the year, but to my knowledge, a one-person household, so someone who's just a single individual, they can make per month $1,560 roughly. And then it does go up from there based on each extra individual in the home.
And is that transportation, if you don't meet those income requirements, but you still require transportation, can they do that at a paid level, or is that, at that point, they're excluded? I'm
Yeah,
just curious.
They would be excluded at this time. However, we have case managers who meet with these individuals to verify their income limits. So that is something that when a new person who's never used our service before calls the 877 number that'll be located on the back of your pamphlet, when a new person calls, we set them up for something called an intake appointment. That intake appointment is where we have them come into our office and meet with a case manager, and that case manager sits down with them and gets some of the required documents like proof of income, IDs if they have them, social security cards if they have them, and then that case manager also sits down and talks about other things that may be going on in their life. Because when somebody comes into our office at Community Action, they're so focused on whatever crisis moment that they're in, whether that be like not having transportation to doctor's appointments to get food or other things that they need access to in the community, but then they also need help maybe paying their light bill, maybe trying to get extra skill sets on their resume so they can get employment, just whatever things that may be going on that build to a bigger issue in their life that's affecting them for that one thing. So that's why the case managers want to meet with them as well. But then that person would come in, get their documents, and if they're not income eligible for our transportation program, one, they again will not be deserted at our office. We will still take them home. The other thing is that we, again, try to educate them on all of their transportation options, not just about EasyMo. So we do kind of go over like the Oats bus schedule with them. I haven't really explored your lovely Amtrak station because I am from Jefferson County. Don't hold that against me, please. But I am learning, so I will tell you that. I am trying. I was also late because I had no idea where I was going. You guys have a very lovely building. So I just want to know that I am noting that, and we are actually going to start implementing, trying to teach people about the train schedule and other, again, more public transportation aside from just EasyMo. Because we do want people to know, like, these are volunteers, so just because you call with a request doesn't mean we can always fill that request, because we have a limited number of drivers to fill between 2 counties, and there's a lot more of them than they are of us at this moment. So we do ask that, they give us as much of a heads up as possible. And again, if we can try to give them other solutions outside of just EasyMo, we try to educate them on all of their options. And I did touch on the fact that there's a lot more individuals who need transportation than there are drivers. I want to state that I was our very first volunteer driver when I started in May of last year, and now I no longer drive full-time. I do take trips here and there as needed, but we are actually at currently 19 volunteers. So it's been a very fast expansion, and I think that just speaks volumes to the amount of need for free, affordable transportation in the community.
I'd say it also speaks to the volunteer community that we're in, so that's awesome. I do have a question. Tim, the attachment that you sent introducing her, and Gina, I think you actually sent it out. It seems like there was a phone number and a website on that as well. So we all have that email from Gina that Tim put out there, so we would have your contact information on that as also.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I will make sure you all get a flyer before I leave.
I did have a question. You did not mention Medicare reimbursement or anything like that for seniors or through an Advantage healthcare plan?
Because we don't accept any sort of insurance, if that's what you're referring to.
That's right, okay.
So, yeah, we do not. We currently are pending a contract with a insurance company. However, that has not been approved yet, so we have not been able to start accepting insurance rides. But hopefully that will be something soon to come. Hopefully by the next time you all meet.
How many more requests do you have than volunteers available?
So that is determined by day. So I can tell you right now, our busiest day of the week is Tuesdays, okay? So on average, our Tuesday turnarounds is that we're only able to accept probably a total of 19 trips per day on an average Tuesday, but that means that we're on average turning down almost 20 rides. So that is a lot more trips. That's almost double the capacity that we need in order to fill our busiest day of the week.
And how do you sort them out? Is it first come, first served?
Yes. It also is so it's first come, first serve based on how early you get your request in. That gives more drivers the opportunity to try to plan accordingly to pick up as many trips as possible. So that's thing number one, as early as you can get your request in as possible, the better. The other thing is that we have drivers who have very specific times that they can volunteer for. So we have a lot of retirees that do this around watching their grandkids, taking their spouse to their own medical appointments, things like that. So there's very specific times of the day as well that fill up quicker than others because we have more volunteers that are willing to do 7 a.m. employment trips than there are somebody at lunchtime to take them to the grocery store or things like that. So it also is dependent on like the time of day that they can get into, because while we have to have the availability in terms of drivers, we also have to have the term of availability of scheduling them. So our phone operators are only in the office Monday through Thursday. So we can only take requests Monday through Thursday. But trips are given out 7 days a week, just dependent on what driver is available to take them.
Can somebody say, I want something every Tuesday from now on?
And I'm sorry, what?
When we say first come, first served, how do can they get 3 or 4 trips or 10 trips?
Yeah,
lined
so
up in advance?
we just tell people we can't schedule further than a month out. So if they called, if today is the 28th, I believe, today's the 28th, we just can't schedule anything past May 28th of next month. We would tell them that they need to call back in the next 2 weeks or so to kind of be able to keep up with the scheduling that's happening now. Because if we book too far out in advance, people's schedules change, volunteers change, things happen. So we don't want to book too far out because then things get forgotten. People end up changing their schedule and then don't let the volunteers know. And then the volunteers show up and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And that's another thing is that we reimburse our drivers from the time they leave their driveway, not when they pick up the client. So that is something else to consider when talking about volunteering, is that if they go and pick that client up and that client cancels on them, they still get reimbursed the time it took them to leave their house to get to them and go back to their home. So it's not just a wasted trip for them.
Thanks, Taylor. I wanted to bring this up because it also gives us a good baseline perhaps to evaluate even further. The more data, the more intelligent we can act on need relative to our region. The numerics that she can bring up and their organization can bring up to leaders throughout the region, local governments, and things to consider relative to the need of public transportation in some sort of format. We all know there are folks out there struggling to get where they need to go. And providing rides in some fashion, I think helps, that being that presence be edified a little bit, more so than being trapped without anywhere to go, and resources being as minimal as they are here. It's a big transition opportunity from a low to medium size entity to graduating to a larger as we grow here in the region. I want to be mindful of the opportunities that we have here. I don't think the horn has been blown enough on the availability of this resource, and then that's why I wanted to get a little further exposure here. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Teresa, do you have anything?
I'll just add on top of that, thank you, Taylor and Easy Mo, for what you do. That is one of the resources that we do have on our Mo Rides network, that our call center, you know, I'm sure we've sent a lot of people your way from either our website or if they've called in and they don't know about them. So if we can get them and connect them with Easy Mo, then from then on they can just contact them directly. But so that's what we do. So that, I mean, it's fantastic that you are bringing forward solutions for Franklin County for transportation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other business?
I do want to update you on a couple of street projects, and hopefully this time next month, we'll at least know what staff's recommendations are down at East-West Gateway on a few of the applications that the City of Washington submitted. We had two projects that we were concerned we did not have enough funding for the first go-round that we were awarded through East-West Gateway. So the good news is that we've already received awarding for both the Front Street project as well as the High Street project. However, there was concerns about having enough with that and the inflationary costs from when we first applied for it. Typically, staff down there would recommend that you go ahead and reapply for the projects again to go ahead with the new budgeted amounts. So we did that earlier this winter, and hopefully that application, like I said, hopefully this time next month we'll at least know what staff's recommendations. We also, the third application that we made was for CMAQ for East Fifth Street and Highway 100 with some changes to that intersection to help with the congestion up there. Dedicated right turn lane is part of it, and I think dual left turns going eastbound, correct. So hopefully, again, this time next month, we'll know whether or not we've received those. So just giving you an update.
Darren, while you're up there, can I ask you a question? I had somebody ask me about the Rabbit Trail entrance there, 100.
Yep.
Is there any news on that? Or
Well,
is it
there
stalled,
is.
or-
I guess what I can tell you is that we are at a point that, well, the city's been awarded a grant for that. We have, the problem that I think that we're running into is the solution that we submitted with the application and were awarded with, one of the property owners is not very fond of that layout. We've had several meetings with them since that time, since we were awarded the grant. You got 3 different property owners out there that we've been dealing with, and it seems like every other solution, the other 2 are fine, but the other one is adamantly opposed to. So we keep working towards a solution. We're going to talk to council a little bit about it again at their meeting on May the 6th, and just try to make sure that they're aware of some of the hurdles that we're going to have to go through to do it. And it's primarily trying to relocate that entrance of, that was a Phoenix Center, I always get the name mixed up, or, is it Phoenix Center Drive? Yeah, Phoenix Center Drive, pushing that back further south so that you don't have that congestion right up there at the intersection. As we all know, that street was put in there and intersected with Rabbit Trail way before we had all the traffic issues that we do today. And so we've always tried to figure out what's the solution to go ahead and do that. We do have I think the consultant has not been, we have a consultant picked, but we have not entered into a contract yet with the council on that. We're trying to figure out which, like I said, what is the best approach for that. Unfortunately, it's not been easy to figure out what that is. There's no easy solution. So that's the best update. I
No,
can give.
thanks for your diligence on that.
Anything else? Kyle?
Well, I hope you guys realize that if there's anything that I can do to help you out, don't hesitate to reach out. I did see the commissioners here in town, and Greg Smith, and talk to them. I had the opportunity to attend some of their meetings, or actually the coffee pre-meeting for them up there. So I'll be able to help push the causeway slash levy type things, especially knowing that they're interested in that. Like I said, I did happen to run into them here in town when they were here, and super complimentary of the area, and they rode Amtrak right things at the right time and, you know, keep the trains clean. And it's a great mode of transportation, especially from Washington to anywhere. And the commission actually, rode Amtrak, and we're very pleased with that. But obviously, I'm here just to help out any way that I can, and, please don't hesitate.
Thanks for those comments. I'll make sure to pass those up to our MORPAC meeting next time around and about their visit. So it's good. I agree. Yeah, the on-time performance is what, if you can count on it, you'll ride it. If you can't, you're suddenly questioning other modes. So thank you.
And thank you for being here. It's great to have you here to tell us what's going on there and what you're doing and listening to us. And I think it's a communication connection that I appreciate having open. So thanks for being at the meeting.
Thanks too for the Washington Day, or the area day, not the 109th day. I shouldn't say Washington.
And that turned out very, very well, and I believe, you know, a lot of the comments that I had there were, you know, I knew of Washington, but I didn't realize all these things were there in Washington.
Yeah.
And, I think people were really, really pleased with, seeing the businesses, especially, and then, well, like we had talked earlier, the choirs there singing on the grand staircase were, I mean, that was
Beautiful.
just, yeah, amazing. Turned out great, so.
Anybody got anything else? I just wanted to tell you guys that next month, our meeting is gonna be on Tuesday because of the Labor Day holiday, our Memorial Day holiday, and it's gonna be at 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, because there's a meeting before us.
Ooh,
But
9
I'll send that agenda out and let you know. So, that's it. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.